My name is Monica Davis, and at 61 years old, I never imagined my life would become a living hell at the hands of the very son I raised with every ounce of love in my body. Last night, it happened again, over something as trivial as a bowl of unsalted soup. Ethan, my own flesh and blood, flew into one of his infamous rages. He grabbed me by the arms, shook me like a rag doll, and slapped me so hard across the face that blood trickled from my split lip, pooling on the cold kitchen tiles. I collapsed there, gasping, while he towered over me, his face twisted in disgust. "You're useless, Mom. Can't even get a simple meal right," he snarled. And then, as if flipping a switch, he just walked away, straight to his room, door slamming shut, and he slept like a baby. Like beating his mother was just another Tuesday night. This morning, I dragged myself out of bed at dawn, my body a map of bruises, purple welts blooming on my arms, a throbbing ache in my ribs, and that damn lip still stinging with every word I utter. But the real agony? It's not the pain you can see. It's the soul-crushing shame. The betrayal. Knowing that Ethan, the boy I cradled through fevers, the man I sacrificed everything for, now treats me like dirt under his designer shoes. I'm not his mother anymore. I'm his invisible servant, expected to scrub, cook, and shut my mouth, all while he drains my life dry. The clock hit 5 a.m., same as always, and there he was, Ethan, perched at the kitchen island in his crisp gray Armani suit, thumb flying across his phone screen, ignoring my existence. Not a glance, not a word of remorse. Just a barked order. "Breakfast, Mom."
Now.
"I've got a board meeting at 8, make it quick." As if the night before hadn't happened. As if he hadn't screamed that I was a worthless burden, that if I weren't his mom, he'd have tossed me into the gutter like yesterday's trash. I moved on autopilot, hands trembling as I cracked eggs into the pan, 3 heaping spoonfuls of sharp cheddar, just how he demands. 2 slices of sourdough, toasted golden to perfection. Black coffee, no sugar, poured steaming into his monogrammed mug. Every detail measured like a bomb defusal, because God forbid it's off by a millimeter. One wrong move, and boom, Ethan erupts, and I'm the collateral damage, fists and fury raining down. Halfway through his meal, the front door clicked open, the sound echoing like a gunshot in my chest. In swept Savannah, his trophy wife, all elegance and entitlement in her emerald silk dress and Louboutin heels that clicked like accusations on my hardwood floors. She air-kissed Ethan's cheek, slid into her seat like she owned the empire, and flashed me that saccharine smile she reserves for showtime. "Good morning, Mrs. Davis," she cooed, voice dripping honey. "You look rested. How are you feeling today?" Oh, how I wanted to shatter the facade. To scream, "Your husband's fists did this to me. Look at my bruises, hidden under long sleeves. But they're there, courtesy of your Prince Charming." Instead, I forced a smile that felt like glass in my throat. "Just fine, dear. Thank you." Then, playing the dutiful host, "Breakfast, Savannah? Eggs sound good." Ethan's eyes snapped to mine, a laser beam of warning. "Don't push it, Mom," they screamed silently. One slip, and tonight's hell would make last night look like a picnic. But he played the charmer for his audience, pulling a sleek gold compact from his pocket. "Look what I got you, Mom, a top-shelf foundation. Perfect for those little oopsies from your fall last night." Fall? That's his code for the beating. As if I tripped into his rage, all on my own. The thing cost a fortune, easily $60 at Sephora, and I knew exactly where it came from. My pension checks. "Yeah, he manages my finances now." "For your own good, Mom," he says. "Old folks like you can't be trusted with money." It's been 2 years since I've touched a dime of my own retirement. 2 years of him siphoning it all away for his luxury life. Savannah beamed at him, eyes sparkling like he'd hung the moon. "You're such a sweetheart, babe. Always so thoughtful with your mom." If only she knew. If only she saw the monster behind the million-dollar deals, the cutthroat exec who closes multimillion accounts by day and unleashes hell on his mother by night. Her perfect husband, venting every frustration on me like I'm his personal punching bag. After breakfast, Ethan straightened his crimson tie, snatched his leather briefcase, and leaned in close while Savannah primped in the mirror. His breath hot on my ear. "Remember our little chat last night? One word to anyone, Savannah, the cops, whoever, and you'll wish you were dead. No one's gonna believe a senile old bat sponging off her son." Chills raced down my spine, ice in my veins. They sauntered out hand in hand, the picture of marital bliss, climbing into his gleaming black Mercedes, 450 grand on wheels, all funded by my blood, sweat, and savings. The door clicked shut, and the silence crashed over me like a tidal wave. I sank into a chair, tears burning, not of sorrow, but fury. Raw, boiling rage. This can't go on. I won't let it. But how? How do I escape this gilded cage? Hours blurred by in that empty kitchen, sunlight creeping across the tiles like a mocking intruder. This house, my house, was my dream once. I bought it 30 years ago, scraping together every penny from my 40-year grind as an executive secretary at Sullivan and Associates. Up at 5 a.m. daily, juggling bosses' egos, filing endless briefs, building a nest egg for the golden years. I was the backbone, the invisible force making power players shine. Never in my wildest nightmares did I picture becoming a captive in my own sanctuary. It all unraveled 3 years back, when Ethan's world imploded. Fresh off a nasty divorce from wife number 1, he showed up on my doorstep at midnight, suitcase in hand, eyes wide with that puppy dog vulnerability that always broke me. "Mom, I need a place to crash. Just till I get back on my feet." The settlement wiped me out, lost the house, everything. My heart melted, as it always did. "Of course, baby. This is your home forever." What a fool. I didn't realize I was ushering in the devil himself. At first, it was paradise. Early mornings together, him heading to the office, evenings with home-cooked meals and actual conversation. He even tagged along for groceries, cracking jokes like the old days. I dared to dream of reclaiming our bond, the mother-son duo I'd lost to his adult ambitions. But cracks formed fast. Subtle at first. "Mom, this soup's bland as cardboard." "The bathroom's a mess, scrub harder." "Iron my shirts right. Wrinkles make me look sloppy." Stings I brushed off as divorce stress. Then came the money grab. "Let me handle your counts, Mom. You're too old for that hassle, it's risky." Gullible me handed over the keys to my kingdom. He's family, I told myself. He'd never betray me.
Wrong.
So catastrophically wrong. The nitpicks turned to demands, demands to control, control to cruelty.
And now?
I'm trapped in a nightmare of my own making, wondering if I'll ever break free, or if this is how it ends for mothers like me. But something's shifting inside. The rage is building. And soon, I might just fight back. In just 6 short months after moving in, Ethan had seized total control of my finances, like a thief in the night, but worse, because he was my own son. My modest $1,200 monthly pension funneled straight into his greedy pockets. He tossed me a pitiful $20 a week for personal expenses, treating me like some kid begging for pocket money. Whenever I'd muster the courage to question where the rest vanished, he'd flash that slick smile and say, "Mom, I'm investing it wisely, making it grow for us both. Just trust me, okay?" Trust him? What a joke. Then came Savannah, the bombshell twist in this nightmare. 25 years his junior, with a dazzling smile that screamed ambition and a vibe that could charm the devil himself. Ethan scooped her up at the office where she hustled as a marketing assistant, young, hungry, and perfectly polished. 6 whirlwind months later, they tied the knot in a lavish blowout that burned through over $100,000. Guess whose nest egg footed the bill? Mine, of course. Every last cent. From the moment Savannah strutted into our lives, the downhill slide turned into a freefall. Ethan upgraded my role from mother to full-time servant. "Mom, whip up something fancy for dinner. Savannah's got refined tastes." "Mom, scrub the guest bath spotless. We're hosting VIPs." "Mom, hand wash this silk shirt. It's too precious for the machine." And I'd comply every single time. Not out of love anymore, but sheer terror. Terror of his explosive temper, of his chilling threats to boot me from my own damn house. See, he'd sweet-talked me into adding his name to the deed for protection. Just in case something happens to you, Mom, he'd cooed. Protection? More like a noose around my neck. The abuse crept in a year ago, sneaky at first, like poison in your coffee. It started with accidental shoves when I didn't move fast enough. Then came the bruising pinches on my arms if dinner wasn't flawless. You're killing me here, Mom. Too slow, too sloppy, he'd growl. Before I knew it, those escalated to shoulder smacks, stinging slaps over bland meals, and full-on punches to my back if the dusting lagged. But last night shattered any illusions. He crossed into pure savagery. It was a routine Tuesday light dinner as always. I slaved over a hearty vegetable soup, set the table with care, plated the toasted bread just so. Everything impeccable. Ethan stormed in from work, exhausted and edgy, plopped down without a hello, and scooped up that first bite. His face twisted like he'd swallowed venom. What the actual hell is this crap? He roared, spewing it back into the bowl. No salt? It's like dishwater. I stammered apologies. Sorry, son. I must have forgotten. Let me fix it right now. But the fuse was lit. He bolted up like a beast unleashed, snatched the steaming bowl, and hurled it straight at my face. Scalding broth seared my cheek. Shards of porcelain sliced my lip open. Blood mixed with soup, dripping down my chin. Useless, he bellowed, clamping my arm in a vice grip that promised bruises. 40 years as a secretary, and you can't even season a simple soup? Pathetic old hag. He slammed me against the kitchen wall. My head cracked on the tile, stars exploding in my vision. But he wasn't done. Slap after slap rained down, my ears ringing like church bells. Savannah's got friends coming for lunch tomorrow, he snarled through my shielding hands. Make it spectacular, seafood, pasta, the works. Screw it up, embarrass me even a little, and I swear, you're out on the street like the trash you are. Then, like clockwork, the storm passed. He cooled off, knelt down, and helped me to my feet, dabbing my bloody lip with a napkin. Sorry, Mom, he murmured, voice buttery soft. I just hate seeing you slip like this. It's for your growth, tough love, you know? And off he went to bed, snoring peacefully, as if the blood on the floor was someone else's mess. I spent the night on my knees in that kitchen, scrubbing soup stains and sweeping up shattered china, each fragment a piece of my broken spirit. My lip throbbed, blood still oozing, but the real wound? Deeper, darker. The gut-wrenching truth that my beloved son had morphed into my personal monster. As I cleaned, memories flooded back. Ethan wasn't born this way. Once, he was my sweet little boy, all hugs and giggles. His dad bailed when he was just 8, leaving us to fend for ourselves. I hustled double shifts, scraped by, to give him the world. Elite private schools, trendy clothes, piano classes, language tutors, anything his heart desired. Maybe that's where I went wrong. Spoiled him rotten, handed life on a platter, never teaching the grit of respect or real gratitude. Now, at 35, he's the king, and I'm the peasant paying the price for my blind devotion. Dawn broke, and his footsteps thumped down the stairs, my heart jackhammering, as it does every time he's near. Living in your own home like a cornered animal? It's madness. He sauntered into the kitchen, sharp in his black suit, eyes glued to his phone. No request for breakfast. He just sat, expecting service. I delivered on cue. Fluffy scrambled eggs, bitter black coffee, 2 perfect toasts, all in tense silence. He devoured it while tapping emails, treating me like a ghost. At 7:30 sharp, Savannah breezed in, radiant in a form-fitting yellow sundress, heels clacking like judgment. Does she ever spot the bruises? The way I wince at his voice? Morning, Mrs. Davis, she chirped, smile as fake as her highlights. You okay today? Fine, thanks. I lied, autopilot engaged. Coffee. Just a light one with sweetener, she replied, settling in. As I poured, her gaze flicked to my swollen lip, the purple mark creeping from my collar. For a split second, I prayed she'd probe. What happened? But no. She averted her eyes, back to scrolling. Ethan polished off his plate and fixed me with a stare that could freeze hell. Don't forget last night's chat, Mom. Savannah's got 3 girlfriends coming for lunch. Go all out. Fresh seafood linguine, crisp Caesar salad, decadent desserts, and splurge on premium white wine. Not that bargain bin swill you grab. He slid 3 20s across the table, like $60 was a fortune for a feast fit for 5, when his shirts cost triple that. Then, leaning in while she wasn't looking, his whisper slithered. Use that makeup I got you. Hide those ugly marks. If her friends so much as whisper about your looks, if you slip up one bit, you'll wish you'd never been born.
Got it.
Ethan's voice was a venomous hiss, his eyes boring into mine with a threat that turned my blood to ice. I nodded, hands quaking, as he flashed that fake, doting son smile, planting a kiss on my forehead for show before strutting out with Savannah, their laughter echoing like a cruel taunt. The door slammed shut, and I crumpled into a kitchen chair, the weight of it all crushing me. $60 to pull off a gourmet lunch for 5? Fresh shrimp runs $30 a pound. Decent wine at least $20. How was I supposed to spin straw into gold? But it wasn't just the money twisting my gut. It was the charade I'd have to perform, playing the proud, beaming mother-in-law to Savannah's chic friends, hiding the ugly truth. I'm a battered prisoner in my own home. In the bathroom mirror, I barely recognized the ghost staring back. My lip, swollen and bruised, pulsed with pain. A jagged cut marred the corner of my mouth. My eyes, red and hollow from endless tears, looked like they belonged to a stranger. A dark bruise snaked from my neck toward my collarbone, a grotesque tattoo of Ethan's rage. I cracked open the fancy foundation he'd tossed me, some high-end import Savannah would flaunt, and smeared it on, layer by layer, burying every mark, every shameful proof of what my life had become. How many mornings had I done this? Covered bruises, spun lies? Oh, I tripped over the rug. Clumsy me, banged into the cabinet. Lie after lie to shield Ethan's pristine image, to keep the world from seeing the monster he'd become. I hit the supermarket with my pathetic $60, clutching a list like a lifeline. Fresh prawns were a fantasy, frozen shrimp would have to do. I grabbed the cheapest wine that wouldn't embarrass, discounted pasta, and clearance produce. Every cent was a calculated gamble, stretching his generosity to its breaking point. At the checkout, a familiar voice broke my haze. Monica, dear. It was Clarice, my sweet 60-something neighbor, a widow with a smile that radiated warmth. Haven't seen you tending your roses lately. Everything okay? Fine, Clarice, thanks, I said, forcing a grin. Just swamped with housework. Her eyes lingered on my face, narrowing slightly at my caked-on makeup, the faint shadow of my swollen lip. Hurt your mouth, honey? She asked, concern creasing her brow. My pulse spiked, panic clawing at my throat. Oh, it's nothing, I blurted. Bumped into a door last night, silly me. She frowned, unconvinced, but pressed gently. You know my door's always open, Monica. Afternoons, I'm home. If you ever need anything. Her kindness pierced me, a rare flicker of humanity in my dark world. For one wild moment, I wanted to spill it all, beg her to save me from this hell. But Ethan's warning roared in my skull. Open your mouth and you're done. No one believes a crazy old leech like you. Thank you, Clarice, I whispered, throat tight. You're too kind. I fled before the tears could betray me. Back home, I threw myself into a frenzy, cooking, cleaning, perfecting. The house gleamed, the table sparkled with my best china, a vase of fresh-cut flowers screaming, normal family. Shrimp linguine simmered, Caesar salad chilled, and a makeshift dessert, store-bought pastries dressed up with whipped cream, waited in the wings. Everything had to dazzle, or Ethan's wrath would be biblical. Clarice's words haunted me as I worked. If you ever need anything, did she hear the screams through our thin walls? The crashes in the dead of night? Did she suspect? At 11:30, my phone buzzed, a number I didn't know. Mrs. Davis. A man's voice, clipped and serious. This is Mr. Hargrove, accountant at Ethan's firm. We need to speak urgently about some irregularities in the accounts. Can you come to our office at 3 p.m. today? My heart plummeted. Irregularities? What had Ethan done? I don't understand, I stammered. Not over the phone, Mrs. Davis. It's critical. 3 o'clock. The line went dead, and dread coiled in my stomach like a snake. What mess had he dragged my name into now? No time to dwell. The doorbell chimed, sharp and demanding. I touched up my makeup, plastering on a smile that felt like a lie carved into my face, and opened the door. There stood Savannah, radiant as ever, flanked by 3 women straight out of a Vogue spread, designer dresses, handbags worth more than my pension, heels clicking with privilege. Mrs. Davis. Savannah purred, her voice syrupy for the audience. Meet my dearest friends, Beatrice from HR, Brenda from marketing, and Evelyn from legal. They've been dying to see the house. Their smiles were polite, their eyes appraising, scanning me like they could smell the desperation under my foundation. I welcomed them in, my heart pounding, knowing one wrong move could unravel everything, and Ethan's threats were never empty. My heart lurched when Savannah introduced Evelyn Brooks, my little sister, standing there in my dining room after 2 years of silence between us. Her sharp eyes locked onto mine, mirroring my shock, but we both played it cool, like strangers meeting for the first time. A pleasure, Mrs. Davis, she said smoothly, her lawyer's cunning kicking in. She clocked my caked-on makeup, the nervous twitch in my hands, and I knew she sensed the rot beneath the surface. Savannah's told us so much about you. Her words were polite, but her gaze screamed, "What's wrong, Monica?" I ushered them to the dining room, where I'd laid out the good stuff, Mom's heirloom china, crystal glasses gleaming, the white tablecloth crisp as a lie. The shrimp pasta, cobbled together on a shoestring, looked gourmet. The Caesar salad was crisp, the bread perfectly toasted, and I'd even managed a tiramisu that could pass for homemade. I served with steady hands, playing the gracious hostess Ethan demanded, while the women chattered about office gossip, weekend getaways, and designer sales. But Evelyn's eyes never left me, probing, dissecting, like when we were kids and she'd catch me hiding a secret. Delicious spread, Mrs. Davis, Beatrice gushed. You made all this yourself? Love to cook, I lied, forcing a smile that felt like shards of glass. It's a joy for such wonderful guests. Ethan's so lucky, Brenda chimed in. Not many women these days are so devoted to family. Savannah's smile was all teeth. Exactly. Mrs. Davis handles everything, like a housekeeper, but with that special mother's touch. Her words sliced deep, reducing me to a servant in my own home. Not a mother, not a woman, just a tool. Evelyn cleared her throat, her voice cutting through. And before this, Mrs. Davis? Always a homemaker. Pride flickered, a rare spark. I was an executive secretary at Sullivan and Associates for 40 years. Retired 3 years ago. Her eyes lit up. She'd interned there during law school. That's a top-tier firm, she said, leaning in. You must have rubbed shoulders with heavy hitters, judges, prosecutors, big-shot attorneys. Bet you were indispensable. I smiled, genuine for once. Mr. Sullivan used to say, I was the backbone of the place. Helped close some major cases. Savannah's face tightened. She hated me stealing the spotlight. Well, now she's enjoying her retirement, she interjected, voice syrupy. Ethan takes care of everything, finances, needs, all of it. Such a dutiful son. Evelyn's gaze sharpened, locking onto mine. I knew that look. She smelled the lie. A woman who ran a law firm's engine for decades doesn't need her son playing accountant. The air grew thick, the lunch dragging on with shallow chatter, but Evelyn's scrutiny never wavered. She was piecing it together, the makeup, the flinches, the fear. When I slipped to the kitchen for dessert, she followed. Need a hand? She asked, but her tone said she wanted answers. Alone, she dropped the act. Monica, she whispered, my name a lifeline. Are you okay? You're not yourself. My walls crumbled. I wanted to collapse into her arms, spill the ugly truth, Ethan's fists, his threats, my prison. But keys jangled at the front door. Ethan, home early. Panic surged. I'm fine, Evelyn, I hissed, eyes darting. Just tired. He swept into the dining room, all charm and charisma, kissing Savannah's cheek and flashing that megawatt smile. Ladies, how's the office's finest doing? Hope Mom's been the perfect host. Excellently, Beatrice said. She's an absolute gem. Ethan's hand landed on my shoulder, and I stiffened, dread coiling tight. His grip tightened, a silent don't you dare. Best mom in the world, he said, voice dripping with fake warmth, fingers digging into my bruise. Always sacrificing for the family. The women wrapped up, exchanging air kisses and compliments. Evelyn lingered, the last to leave. Such a pleasure, Mrs. Davis, she said loudly for Ethan's benefit, then leaned in, her whisper urgent. We're talking soon. Her hands squeezed mine, a promise. The door clicked shut and Ethan's mask fell. The charming sun vanished, replaced by the cold predator. Not bad, Mom, he said, voice like ice. You didn't screw it up for once. Kept your mouth shut, didn't embarrass me. His eyes raked over me, daring me to flinch. Let's keep it that way. Ethan's words weren't praise. They were a pat on the head for a servant who'd performed her tricks. As I cleared the dining room, stacking plates and wiping crumbs, he sauntered off to change, but not before tossing a chilling bombshell. Oh, and Mom? The tech guy's coming tomorrow to check your computer. Says you've been poking around some weird sites. My blood froze. I didn't have a computer, only used his when he allowed it. And lately, I'd been searching for escape routes, domestic abuse hotlines, women's shelters, resources to claw my way out of his hell. He knew. He was watching, waiting to tighten the leash. My phone buzzed, snapping me from the panic. It was the accountant again. Mrs. Davis, can you make it to the office by 3 p.m.? It's urgent. I glanced at the clock. 2:15. Ethan was upstairs, probably napping off his power trip. This was my shot. Yes, I whispered, grabbing my purse and keys, slipping out like a thief in my own home. Evelyn's promise echoed in my mind. We'll see each other soon, and for the first time in years, a flicker of hope sparked. I didn't know what awaited me at that office, but it felt like the edge of something monumental. Ethan's workplace was a sleek downtown skyscraper, all glass and steel, looming like it owned the city. I'd never set foot there. His job was his fortress, walled off from me like a dirty secret. On the 18th floor, Northern Business Corporation's receptionist, a polished young woman, directed me to the accountant's office. My heart thundered so loud, I swore the whole building could hear it. Adrian Castillo, a man in his 50s with wire-rimmed glasses and a grave expression, stood to greet me. Mrs. Davis, thank you for coming on short notice. His tone was heavy, his eyes kind but troubled. I sat across from his desk, gripping my purse to hide my trembling hands. Ma'am, he began, flipping open a thick folder. We need to discuss your bank account. Specifically, some unusual activity over the past few months. My stomach churned. My account? What does that have to do with the company? Adrian's gaze softened, laced with pity. Mrs. Davis, we've uncovered that Ethan has been siphoning company funds, over $50,000 in the last 6 months. The money flows into his personal account, then immediately to the joint account he shares with you. The room spun. $50,000? My son wasn't just beating me down physically, he was framing me as his accomplice in corporate theft. That's impossible, I gasped, voice shaking. Ethan's a model employee. He'd never. But Adrian slid documents across the desk, rows of numbers and transactions staring back like a guilty verdict. I'm afraid he has. The funds are funneled through your account, then withdrawn. We believe you're unaware of this. I didn't know, I said, desperation clawing at my words. He controls my account, my pension, everything. I haven't touched a penny in years. We suspected as much, Adrian said gently. That's why I called you before escalating legally. To clear your name, you'd need to file a formal complaint for misuse of your account. Nausea hit like a tidal wave. My son, a criminal. Me, his unwitting pawn. What happens to Ethan if I do? I asked, dreading the answer. Adrian's face was grim. Embezzlement and fraudulent account use are serious. He could face 5 to 10 years in prison. The words landed like a sledgehammer. I stumbled out of that office in a daze, wandering downtown streets for hours, the city blurring into a haze of shock. My son, a thief. My life, a lie. And I'd been his puppet all along. By 6 p.m., I dragged myself home. Ethan lounged in the living room, TV blaring, his face smug as ever. "Where the hell were you?" he snapped, eyes narrowing. "I come home, and you're gone?" Place is a pigsty after that lunch. For the first time in years, I met his gaze without flinching. Something had shifted. Evelyn's promise, Adrian's revelations, the truth clawing its way out. "I was at your office, Ethan," I said, voice steady. I spoke to the accountant. "I know what you've done." His mask slipped, just for a second, fear flickering in those cold eyes. He rose slowly, like a panther ready to pounce. "What are you babbling about, Mom? You're confused." $50,000, I said, my voice growing stronger. "Stolen from your company, funneled through my account." He stepped closer, looming, but I held my ground. "That's my money," I said. "My pension, my savings, 40 years of my blood and sweat." He grabbed my arm, fingers bruising, his voice a low growl. "You ungrateful hag. That money's mine, payment for keeping a roof over your head, food in your mouth, clothes on your back." I wrenched free, rage boiling over. "Let go of me," I shouted, the sound echoing through the house. His shock was palpable. He'd never seen me fight back. For 3 years, I'd been his silent punching bag, his doormat. But today, something snapped. Today, I wasn't just his victim. I was Monica Davis, and I was done. Ethan's words cut like a blade, but they lacked the usual sting. "You're crazy," he spat, his voice faltering, betraying a crack in his armor. "No one's gonna buy your story. You're just a delusional old woman who can't keep her head straight." But I stood taller, fueled by a fire I hadn't felt in years. "The accountant believed me," I shot back. "The documents don't lie, Ethan. Every transfer, every dollar you stole, it's all there in black and white." Silence hung heavy as he processed, his face hardening into something feral. "If you breathe a word, if you dare file a complaint, I'll ruin you," he growled, stepping closer. "This house? My name's on it. I'll toss you out like garbage, and without me, you'll die alone, penniless, like a stray." For once, his threats didn't paralyze me. A quiet strength surged inside, born from Adrian's truth and Evelyn's promise. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," I said, voice steady, and the truth of it shocked us both. 3 years of your abuse, Ethan, and I'm done cowering." His hand shot up, poised to strike, but the doorbell pierced the air like a lifeline. Clarice's voice called out, urgent. "Monica, everything okay?" I heard shouting. Ethan froze, his hand dropping. His precious reputation couldn't afford a witness. "Go deal with her," he hissed through clenched teeth. "And keep your mouth shut." Legs shaking, I opened the door. Clarice stood there, casserole dish in hand, worry etched across her face. Behind her, my heart skipped, was Evelyn, dressed down in jeans and a ponytail, playing the stranger. "Hi," Evelyn said smoothly. "I'm new around here, just visiting Mrs. Clarice. Hope we're not intruding." Ethan materialized behind me, his charming mask snapped back on. "Not at all, ladies," he said, voice dripping with false warmth. "Mom got a bit upset, burned tonight's dinner. You know how it goes with older folks." Clarice's eyes narrowed, unreadable but sharp. "Right," she said slowly, handing me the dish. "Here's some stew, Monica. And you know I'm next door if you need anything." Evelyn's gaze locked onto mine, steady and fierce. "Same here, Mrs. Davis. Day or night." When they left, Ethan slammed the door, muttering, "Nosy old bats." His tone shifted to ice. "Tomorrow we're going to the bank. You'll sign whatever I say, retract any complaint you've filed, and call it a misunderstanding. Got it? No, I said, the words simple but seismic. What did you say? His voice was low, dangerous. I'm not signing anything. I'm not covering for your crimes anymore. His face contorted, rage stripping away the last of his facade. Fine, he said, his calm more terrifying than his screams. You want to play it that way? I'll make you wish you'd never crossed me. Sleep eluded me that night, Ethan's muffled phone calls drifting from his room for hours. He was scheming, and I braced for the worst. At 3 a.m., a rustle in the yard jolted me upright. Peeking through the curtains, I saw Clarice, stealthy in the shadows, tucking something into the bushes by my window. By morning, I spotted it, a tiny security camera hidden among the plants, aimed at my house. My neighbor wasn't just kind. She was watching, documenting, building evidence of the nightmare I'd been living. Dawn broke, gray and stormy, mirroring the chaos brewing inside me. Ethan was up at 5 a.m., pacing the house, whispering into his phone. When I entered the kitchen, he was dressed to kill. Black suit pressed to perfection, tie knotted like a noose, hair slicked back. The picture of a corporate titan, not the monster who terrorized his mother. Good morning, Mom, he said, voice syrupy chilling. Sleep well? That fake sweetness prickled my skin. When Ethan played nice, it meant trouble. Fine. I lied, pouring his coffee, hands steady despite the dread. Good, he said, his smile cold as a blade. Because today's gonna be special. I've been thinking about our little chat all night. He sat, eating breakfast with eerie calm, like we were some happy family in a sitcom. But his eyes, glinting with calculation, kept me on edge, waiting for the trap to spring. Ethan's voice was smooth, almost tender, as he continued. You're right, Mom. I've been too harsh. You're my mother. You deserve respect. His words threw me, so alien to the monster I knew that I smelled the trap instantly. He spread butter on his toast with casual precision, his eyes glinting. That's why we're heading to the bank today to clear up this little mix-up with my company. You'll tell them you approved every transfer, that you were fully aware of how your money was used. There it was, the venom beneath the honey. He wasn't apologizing, he was cornering me. I'm not doing that, Ethan, I said, fighting to keep my voice from cracking. His smile vanished, replaced by a cold stare. Oh, you will, Mom. Because if you don't, things will get unpleasant. Are you threatening me? Not threatening, he said, draining his coffee. Just laying out the facts. This house, this table, your bed, your food, it's all here because I allow it. Cross me, and it's gone. The unspoken promise hung heavy. He'd leave me homeless. Then he pulled out his phone, his voice dropping to a chilling calm. I've been thinking about calling some doctors. Specialists in elderly mental decline, dementia, that sort of thing. It's tragic when mothers start spinning wild stories, accusing their sons of awful things. My stomach lurched. He wasn't just threatening my home. He was plotting to paint me as unhinged, to silence me forever. I've got witnesses, he went on, voice like ice. Savannah's already told me how confused you've been. Her friends at lunch? They noticed you acting off too. It was a lie, a master manipulator's twist, but his confidence made me question my own mind for a fleeting second. That's how he worked, sowing doubt until reality felt like quicksand. So, 10 a.m., he said, standing. Wear your best dress, fix yourself up, and smile when you sign the papers. Clear? I didn't answer, busying myself with the breakfast dishes to stall, to think. I'm talking to you, he barked, the fake charm gone. Understood. Understood. I mumbled, hating the coward in my voice. He stormed off to his office, pausing to deliver a final warning. Don't leave this house. Don't touch your phone. I'll be back at 9:30 to take you to the bank. The door slammed, and I sank into a chair, tears spilling. Not of sorrow, but white-hot rage. Rage at him, at myself, for letting this nightmare fester. I was still shaking when a soft knock came at the back door. Monica. Open up quick, Clarice whispered urgently through the glass. I let her in, her eyes darting to ensure we were alone. "I heard everything," she said, no preamble. "My camera by your kitchen window, it caught your whole talk with Ethan. The threats, the blackmail, him forcing you to lie about the money. It's all recorded." My heart surged, hope flaring like a match in the dark. "What can we do with it?" Clarice's face lit with determination. "I've got a friend, Brenda, at the DA's office. She handles domestic abuse and financial fraud. But we need to move now."
Come with me.
"I can't," I stammered, fear clawing back. "Ethan said not to leave. If he finds out—" "Monica," she said, grabbing my hands, her voice steady but fierce. "If you go to that bank and sign those papers, Ethan walks free. He'll keep stealing, keep hurting you, and you'll be his accomplice in the eyes of the law. But if you come with me, we can stop him." Her words hit hard. Signing those papers wouldn't just strip my dignity, it'd make me a criminal. But defying him? "If I don't go," I whispered, voice trembling, "he'll kick me out. He'll call me insane, lock me away." Clarice squeezed my hands tighter. "He won't get the chance. Not with that footage, not with Brenda on our side. Trust me, Monica, you're not alone anymore." Clarice's words lit a fire in me, but fear still clawed at my resolve. "He won't get away with it," she insisted, her voice low but fierce. "That footage is your ticket out, Monica. But we've got to act fast, before he drags you to that bank." I glanced at the clock. 8:45 a.m. Ethan would be back in 45 minutes, expecting me dolled up and docile, ready to sign my life away. My hands shook as I gripped Clarice's. What if he finds out I've gone? He'll destroy me, call me crazy, take the house, everything. "He's not invincible," Clarice said, her eyes blazing with conviction. "Brenda at the DA's office. She's seen cases like yours. She'll know exactly what to do with that tape. But you have to trust me, Monica. You have to move now." My heart pounded, torn between the safety of silence and the risk of rebellion. Every bruise, every threat, every stolen dollar flashed through my mind. I thought of Evelyn's whispered promise, Clarice's hidden camera, Adrian's documents. For the first time, I wasn't alone in this nightmare. "Okay," I whispered, voice barely audible. "Let's go." Clarice didn't waste a second. She led me out the back door, through her yard, to her old sedan parked discreetly down the street. My legs felt like jelly, but I moved, driven by a spark of defiance I hadn't felt in years. As we drove, rain streaked the windshield, the gray sky mirroring my churning dread. "Brenda's waiting," Clarice said, glancing at me. "She's tough but fair. You tell her everything, Ethan's abuse, the stolen money, the threats. The camera footage will back you up." We pulled up to the DA's office, a squat brick building that felt like both salvation and a guillotine. Brenda, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s with a no-nonsense air, greeted us in a small conference room. "Mrs. Davis," she said, shaking my hand firmly. Clarice filled me in. "Let's hear your story." The words spilled out, 3 years of terror, Ethan's fists, his control over my money, the $50,000 he'd funneled through my account. My voice cracked as I described the soup incident, the bruises hidden under makeup, his threats to have me locked away as insane. Clarice slid a USB drive across the table. "It's all here," she said. His threats this morning, recorded clear as day. Brenda's face hardened as she listened, her pen flying across a legal pad. "This is textbook coercion and financial fraud," she said. "Coupled with the physical abuse and the company's evidence, we've got enough to move fast. But, Monica, I need you to be ready. Filing charges means Ethan will be arrested, likely today. He'll fight dirty, and he's got Savannah in his corner." My stomach twisted. Savannah, with her perfect smile and blind devotion, would back every lie Ethan fed her. But then I thought of Evelyn, her knowing look, her whispered vow. "My sister," I said. "Evelyn Brooks, she was at the lunch yesterday. She knows something's wrong. She could help." Brenda nodded. "Good. If she's willing to corroborate, it strengthens your case. I'll reach out to her." She leaned forward, her voice softening. Monica, you're not just saving yourself here. You're stopping a predator. Ethan's not just hurting you. He's defrauding his company, maybe others. This ends now. As we wrapped up, my phone buzzed. Ethan's name on the screen. My heart stopped. He's back early, I whispered, showing Clarice the call. Don't answer, Brenda said sharply. You're safe here. We'll handle this. She picked up her phone, dialing quickly. I'm getting a protective order started and coordinating with the police. Ethan won't touch you today. But as we left the office, my phone buzzed again. A text from Ethan. Where the hell are you? You're not at home. You're testing me, Mom, and you're gonna regret it. The words sent a chill down my spine, but Brenda's hand on my shoulder grounded me. He's not in control anymore, she said. You are. Driving back with Clarice, I felt the weight of years lifting, replaced by a shaky but growing resolve. Ethan's empire of lies was crumbling, and I wasn't his puppet anymore. But as we turned onto my street, I saw his black Mercedes parked in the driveway, his silhouette pacing behind the curtains. My breath caught. The storm was here, and I wasn't sure I was ready to face it. Brenda's words echoed in my mind as I stepped into the small courtroom, my heart pounding like a war drum. Your testimony is crucial, Monica. The evidence is slim without you. The judge needs to hear the danger Ethan poses. I clutched Clarice's hand as we entered, her steady presence my anchor. Ethan sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, his polished facade gone. When his eyes met mine, they burned with raw fury, no trace of the fake remorse from his voicemails. This was the real Ethan, a caged predator. Savannah sat in the public benches, her elegant dress unable to mask her haggard face, shadows under her eyes betraying sleepless nights. Our gazes locked, and I saw something new, shame, flickering like a confession. The judge, a stern man in his 60s with a fair but unyielding demeanor, called me to the stand. Mrs. Davis, tell us in your own words what you've endured these past few years. I took a shaky breath and let it all pour out. The beatings that left me bruised and bleeding, the suffocating control over my pension, the threats to declare me insane, the daily humiliation that stripped my soul bare. My voice cracked, but I pressed on, detailing the $50,000 Ethan stole, funneled through my account to frame me. His lawyer, a slick young man in a tailored suit, tried to interrupt, but the judge shut him down with a sharp glance. What did your son say about your testimony yesterday? The judge asked. He threatened to have me locked away as mentally incompetent if I didn't lie for him, I said. He said he'd kick me out of my own house, leave me with nothing. The judge listened to Clarice's recordings through headphones, the courtroom silent as a tomb. When he finished, his voice was steel. Mr. Davis, the evidence shows a clear pattern of domestic abuse, financial fraud, and witness intimidation. Given the severity of these charges and the threat you pose, bail is denied. You'll remain in custody until trial. Ethan erupted, leaping to his feet. This is a travesty, he roared. She's lying. That crazy old woman's making it all up. I'm a respectable man. Guards restrained him as he thrashed, his venom spilling out. You'll pay for this, Mom. Every day I'm locked up, I'll make sure you regret it. His outburst only sealed his fate, proving every word I'd said about his vicious nature. Outside the courtroom, Savannah approached, her voice trembling. Mrs. Davis, can we talk? Clarice and Brenda stiffened, but I nodded. What do you want, Savannah? I'm sorry, she said, her voice raw, genuine for the first time. I knew something was wrong. The screams, your bruises, the way you flinched when he spoke. I saw it all. But I was scared. Ethan threatened to ruin my career, my life, if I spoke up. I was a coward, and I let you suffer. Tears welled in her eyes. When they arrested him, I found papers in his office. He wasn't just stealing from the company, he was draining my accounts, too. 2 years married, and I never saw the fraud he was. What now? I asked. I'm filing for divorce, she said, her jaw set. And I'm testifying against him. I've already contacted a lawyer to work with the DA. He's going to pay for what he did to us both. As we left the courthouse, a weight lifted. Hope, real, Tangible hope bloomed for the first time in years. Brenda had more news. Ethan's company wants to settle. They'll drop charges against you if you help return the stolen funds. And as a gesture, they're offering $20,000 compensation for being a victim of fraud. And my house? I asked, heart in my throat. Ethan had sworn it was his, too. Brenda smiled.
He lied.
We checked the deed. It's solely in your name. His forged papers don't hold up. The house is yours, Monica. Relief washed over me, a vision of a life free from fear taking shape. But Ethan's threats lingered, a dark cloud on the horizon. This wasn't over. 3 weeks later, living at Clarice's, I was physically safe, but mentally trapped. Paranoia gripped me. Every creak in the house, every car slowing on the street, every unknown caller sent my heart racing. Brenda called it PTSD. Your body's wired for survival after years of abuse, she explained. Healing takes time. But it wasn't just trauma haunting me. Ethan found ways to reach me from jail. A letter arrived via a shady lawyer, his familiar handwriting like a knife to my gut. Dear Mom, I hope you're savoring your little win. Bet you feel so brave, betraying me. But this isn't over. I know your secrets, things from your 40 years at Sullivan and Associates that could destroy you. My breath caught. Remember the Williams case, 15 years back? I found the documents you tampered with to help Sullivan win that multi-million-dollar lawsuit. If those surface, you're looking at prison for obstruction of justice. My hands shook, the letter slipping to the floor. The Williams case, a pharmaceutical giant hiding deadly drug side effects. Sullivan had me organize files, removing incriminating memos. I thought it was routine, part of my job. But Ethan was right. I'd altered evidence, unknowingly breaking the law. Now he held it over me like a guillotine, even from behind bars. Ethan's letter was a gut punch, his words dripping with venom. I have copies of everything, Mom. Drop the charges, come grovel in public, or those documents hit the DA's desk. Picture the headlines. 61-year-old secretary jailed for covering up drug deaths. He laid out his plan to ruin me. Media contacts, hungry journalists, my face splashed across every paper, my name synonymous with scandal. Your life's over if you don't obey, he wrote. When Clarice found me sobbing, clutching the letter, she didn't hesitate. She called Brenda. This is blackmail, plain and simple, Brenda said, scanning the pages. But we need to know if his threats hold water. Tell me about the Williams case. I spilled it all. How Sullivan instructed me to organize documents, pulling memos that could have tanked his pharmaceutical client. Did you know it was illegal? Brenda asked. No, I said, voice small. He called it protecting client confidentiality. Just part of my job. Brenda's sigh was heavy. Ignorance isn't a defense. If you altered evidence, even unintentionally, it's a crime. My world shattered again. Just when I thought I'd escaped Ethan's grip, he'd found another chain to yank. What do? I pleaded. If I drop the charges, he walks free and kills me. If I don't, I'm the one in handcuffs for something I didn't even understand 15 years ago. First, breathe, Brenda said. We'll dig into what documents he has and how he got them. Then we'll minimize any legal fallout. The next week was a legal nightmare. Brenda's team tore through the Williams case files, while I lived in terror, jumping at every knock, expecting cops at Clarice's door. Clarice was my rock, brewing chamomile tea, sitting with me through tear-soaked nights, reminding me I wasn't alone. We'll face this together, she'd say. You're not that scared woman anymore. But Ethan's second letter proved I was. You still think you can defy me, Mom? Those documents hit the papers tomorrow unless you visit me in jail by Friday, alone, no lawyers, with a signed letter dropping all charges, blaming your mental decline. Worse, he'd enclose photos, Sullivan and Associates memos with my handwriting, altered dates, missing pages, proof of my unwitting crime. And there's recordings, Mom. You thought I didn't know about your cameras? I've got my own years of you taking cash from clients, unreported. Tax evasion. Another 15 years in prison. He'd been plotting this for years, building a cage of my own mistakes. Brenda's face was grim as she read. Monica, tell me everything. Any cash, any irregularities from the firm. Shame burned as I confessed. Sullivan's Christmas bonuses, client tips for extra work, maybe $1,000 over 40 years. Never reported because I thought they were gifts. Brenda calculated, with penalties, a $40,000 tax debt. Technical tax evasion. Ethan's trap was perfect. Report him, and he'd bury me, stay silent, and he'd keep abusing me. There's a third way, Brenda said after a long pause. We beat him to it. Confess your mistakes publicly before he can weaponize them. Show he's a manipulator controlling you from jail. It's risky, but it strips his power. I stared across the street at my empty house, symbol of my pain, but also my future. Let's do it, I said. I'm done living in his shadow. The press conference was set for 2 p.m. That morning, Brenda dropped a bombshell. Raphael Miller, Ethan's boss, wants to meet you. In her office, Raphael, a silver-haired man in his 50s, stood to greet me. Mrs. Davis, I owe you an apology. If I'd watched Ethan closer, we might have spared you this pain. I shook my head. You couldn't have known what he did at home. But I should have seen the financial red flags, he said. Ethan's theft started 2 years ago, $130,000 total, not just the $50,000 we first found. Small amounts at first, buried as errors, then bigger. He forged reports, faked contracts, even sold company secrets. My jaw dropped. 2 years? Why tell me this? He smiled faintly. We want you to join us, Monica. Your 40 years at Sullivan & Associates, your stellar record. We need your expertise to fix what Ethan broke. $4,000 a month, full benefits, plus $50,000 compensation for what you've endured. I was floored. A job? A lifeline? One condition, he added. Testify at Ethan's trial. Your voice will nail him for everything, not just what he did to you. Done, I said, no hesitation. At the press conference, cameras glared. Journalists scribbled. I sat tall in my gray dress, makeup light but honest. My name is Monica Davis, I began, voice steady. I'm 61, and for 3 years, my son Ethan abused me, physically, financially, emotionally. I laid it all bare. The beatings, the stolen pension, the $130,000 fraud. Then the hard part. At Sullivan & Associates, I made mistakes. I altered documents in the Williams case, not knowing it was illegal. I took unreported cash gifts, thinking they were harmless. Ethan's using these to blackmail me from jail, demanding I drop charges or face ruin. The room was silent, pens flying. I'm here to take his weapon away. I'd rather face my past than stay his victim. To every woman trapped by abuse or blackmail, don't let fear chain you. Freedom is worth more than shame. The DA spared me charges. My confession and victim status made me a stronger witness than defendant. That night, I slept in my own bed, Clarice by my side. My phone rang. Ethan from jail. I saw your press conference, he said, voice hollow, defeated. You ruined me. No, Ethan, I replied, calm as stone. You ruined yourself when you made me your punching bag. Will you ever forgive me? He asked, a crack in his voice. Someday, maybe, when you face your crimes, get help, and grasp the pain you caused. But I'll never forget. I hung up, powered off the phone, and sank into my pillow. Tomorrow, I'd start my new job, my new life. For the first time in years, I was free, no fear, no threats, no secrets. Ethan learned victims can fight back, that truth kills blackmail, that justice comes. And I learned it's never too late to reclaim your life, no matter how long you've lived in darkness. This is my story, a beacon for anyone ready to break their chains.